and be like, I can't hear me anyway.
Good morning, folks. Jeremy Larkin with the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. The question, should you rent out or sell your home? And the four biggest, should you rent out or sell your home? And the four biggest mistakes that home sellers are making right now. And interestingly, Jesse, that home sellers probably ever make. I don't think it's ever changed.
No.
I mean, there are some specific market conditions.
Sometimes they're more pertinent than others. When you have a more stagnant market, they stand out more.
Yes.
When you're in a really hot market, they're not as noticeable.
This is correct. I was mentioning, by the way, guys, Jeremy Larkin with the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. I've got Jesse Paul in the studio at the Larkin Group headquarters, downtown St. George. The old Cameo Florist building. Yes, we have the cool mural on the east corner. Yes, we have the view of the cemetery. You have really quiet neighbors. I'm at least 25 times that one's been given to me. We've got a really cool guest in the studio. This guy's, listen, if you can spell his name correctly without any assistance, without Googling it, I don't know, we'll give you something. Tom Christilaw. How do you like that? Tom Christilaw, Dixie Cable Tech. Tom, good morning, by the way.
How you doing?
He's good. He's kind of a fly on the wall, but he's getting engaged in our conversation this morning. It's going to be fun. Tom has a fun story. He moved here on the 24th of July 10 years ago. Tom is one of our great partners, and I'm going to have him talk about what he does and what people are doing in their homes. Tom, you're probably loving all the cords and things we have running here, or maybe it's stressing you out.
It's stressing me out a little bit.
Yeah. It's how you have to do it. It's how you have to do it, isn't it, guys? It's what happens when you take your lobby and you turn it into a podcast studio. Tom's at Dixie Cable Tech. We're going to talk to him. I said, Jesse, to someone yesterday, you talked about in a really great market, mistakes sellers make, they get hidden. Guys, in 2020 and 2021 and 22, early 22, sellers could be really sloppy.
Oh, yeah. They could get away with all kinds of stuff.
In what they did, because it was like people were offering $50K over ask. It was funny. But I told a client yesterday, we're selling mom's home. Mom has just moved to an assisted living facility. And maybe if you're a listener, you will resonate with the story. It's actually our third client in the last 60 days that we're working with in this exact same situation.
Yep.
Just moved to an assisted living facility. She lives in a townhome that was built in 1999.
Fourth client
In 60 days. We help a lot of clients navigate this transition. Tom, are you moving to assisted living anytime soon? You look pretty fit and happy to me.
Hopefully not for another couple of years still.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting close.
I got to have you keep making sure that we've got audio, visual, home automation and stuff going to our clients' homes. But, it's funny. I'm chatting with these guys and green carpet, Tom, and home.
I mean, that depends on the green.
It was definitely 1999 green. And, brass fixtures, and it was just an older home, right? And I mentioned to the adult son that I'm working with, I said, fresh carpet hides a lot of other blemishes.
It really does.
Because what happens is you walk in and you see this new carpet looks like new carpet. Like we can spot it right in the multiple listing service, can't we?
Yep.
New carpet, it smells great. You know the new carpet smell.
Absolutely.
It's an absolutely nice. And then you kind of stop noticing the other 72 problems that are happening inside the home. And a good market, just like great carpet, will cover a lot of other blemishes in a home.
Yep.
A great market will cover a lot of blemishes in your selling strategy. I want to talk about these two topics, and I'm going to kind of splice them in as we go throughout. Tom, tell us what you do for a living, by the way.
So I'm with Dixie Cable Tech. We do everything from low voltage cabling during construction of your home to all of the tech that goes in after your home is built. So basically from your technology infrastructure on up. So we do everything from televisions, smart home technology automation. We do home theaters, distributed audio for whole home audio, outdoor audio, security cameras, and a host of other things.
Ooh, I love it. Security cameras, Jesse, during a showing. Do you want cameras as a seller? Now listen, before he answers, I want listeners to do it. So Tom's just listed this litany of cool stuff you guys do. I want to talk to you about where this is happening, which kind of homes this is happening, and how much people are spending. Jesse, camera, if you're a seller, you have cameras in your home, you're going to have showings. Yes or no, should you have cameras on during showings?
I don't think so.
Tell us why.
Because they'll absolutely drive you insane.
This is so
You
good.
will-
We were talking about this last week. This was a perfect setup.
If you have a camera on as a seller, you can't help yourself not only to watch the whole showing, but listen in. And by the time that thing's over, you are so offended that you can't even see straight.
The agent's terrible. He criticized this. She
He
didn't
do
point
that.
this
I
out.
can't believe that buyer did this. What's wrong? That agent knows nothing about selling a home. You name it, they're going to think it. And all that happened is they listened into a showing that they probably shouldn't have, because it's not helpful for them.
This reminds me, so guys, the answer is camera in your home as a showing, as a seller. I would have that thing off. I think Jesse's right. You're going to drive yourself crazy.
It happens every time.
Right.
I've never had anybody with a camera that didn't go absolutely crazy over what did or didn't happen, or what the buyer said, or what the agent said or didn't say.
Yeah.
And it's things that we can't control.
Tom, how prevalent are cameras in like a lot of the work you're doing right now?
So they're getting more and more prevalent. I mean, a few years back, we hardly ever got calls for cameras because it's St. George.
Yeah.
But as
Like, hey, I don't even lock my door. People tell me that all the time still.
as our population grows,
grows,
more and more people move in, especially like from other areas and stuff. It seems like cameras have become one of the main things that are requested now.
Funny story yesterday to that point. Buyer from Las Vegas, really neat people, purchase a home that I sold downtown St. George. Yesterday, Jesse's driving up 200 West down by Town Square, just like by happenstance. And he calls me, says, hey, do you have the buyer's phone number? I'm like, absolutely. They bought my home. It's a second home for them. He said, there's a bunch of packages on the front doorstep. I don't want them to get stolen. So I reach out to the buyer. Hey, do you want me to move the packages to the back porch? And he's like, wow, yeah. Works in Vegas. And actually works at a high level at the Venetian Resort, high level corporate. So he has a different view of the world. Wow, thank you. And then he responds, thank you again. I go down there, the packages are gone. A neighbor's beat me to it. They're on the back porch. So I sent him a text. I said, hey, a good neighbor already beat me to it. I now move them somewhere else, right? Where they're out of sight and out of the weather, where someone can't find them. And he responded one text, wow.
That's not normal.
Because that's
in
not
Las
normal,
Vegas.
right? Do you know what I mean?
Anymore. It used to be.
Isn't that funny, right? So where did you move here from?
I moved here from the Seattle area.
Okay, so you moved here on July 24th. Tell us what you were sharing before we went on the air about July 24th, when you were confused about the 4th of July being 3 weeks late.
So I had no clue Pioneer Day existed when I moved here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, apparently nobody knows about it outside of Utah.
No way. No, they don't.
But we moved here and got the truck halfway unloaded, and it was getting late and dark. So figured I'd lock it up, finish the next day. And then we're moving into this house in this cul-de-sac, and then all the neighbors start putting lawn chairs out and bringing coolers and pie out. And I was like, kind of confused, like, what are these people doing?
Yeah.
Then fireworks started going off, and I was like, man, they're like 20 days late in Utah. Either that or they're just trying to welcome me to the neighborhood.
Yeah, and he found out it was Pioneer Day, also known to many as
Pie and Beer Day.
Pie and Beer Day.
you go.
What's so funny is the buyers that what I was just talking about. I love these segues. They came on the 24th to do the handoff of the keys.
Oh, nice.
And they said, wow, things are quiet. I said, today's a holiday.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's
What?
right. The agent who represented them out of Las Vegas, her son plays at Utah Tech on the baseball team. And she told their client, who's spent no time here, the guy that works in the Venetian Resort, you have to get situated. They literally think they're in Mayberry, right? Do you miss Seattle, or do you think you came to the right place?
Not. Absolutely not. We wanted sunshine, heat, dry, less people, less traffic, less crime. We got it all when we moved here.
And did you
That's
watch,
true.
when you talk about that, did you look at you watched the last, especially 5 years play out in Seattle, and were you like face palm, we got out?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I see horrible things happen up there all the time, and it makes me glad that I'm here.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad because, Tom, Seattle's a cool place. So was San Francisco. Yeah. So was Portland. They're cool in their own way. I was in Seattle, by the way, 5 or 6 months ago. I loved it.
I
It
tell
was
people
fun.
it's a great place to visit, especially in the summer when it might be nice. But it's a terrible place to live.
Well, let's talk about this. I'm in Seattle. I'm there at a real estate conference. I'm staying at this beautiful hotel. That's where they hosted the conference. I noticed that there were guys. It was a Marriott, and the guys were out. They had opened and closed the door for us. And first, I thought it was because it was a high class hotel. Well, I finally figured it out, and they told me. They said, by the way, when you walk down to the Pike's Market, I want you to be careful over the next block. We were on Green. No, what street is it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, Pike Place is where
Pike Place. Yeah. He said, be careful on the next block. And I counted, there were over 40 people, homeless people doing fentanyl, like they're burning it, doing fentanyl, like 40 at the high point.
Wow. And
law enforcement just has to look the other way. At the same time, I went to Pike's Market and it was incredible and it was amazing. And they were throwing the fish and the tourists were loving it. And I went to some little cool European cafe and had a sandwich. Two worlds happening at once. And then I'd walk past all these guys doing fentanyl again. And then I'd walk into the Marriott and it was like a different world. Do you think there are people just like you that are still moving here and will move here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Right?
it's crazy downtown Seattle. I was just talking to a friend there the other day, and he was telling me about how when he was downtown, he had to go to the Nordstrom corporate office for something.
I went to the Nordstrom Rack, which is where the Nordstrom corporate office is.
So
I've been physically there.
Yeah, he said you walk out the door of the Nordstrom corporate office and across the street are a bunch of trank zombies.
This is, listen, this is it. We went there. I went to Nordstrom Rack, and this is comical. I had to sit on my suitcase to close it because I went to the flagship Nordstrom Rack and bought a bunch of like way closeout business apparel. I bought this suit coat there. Okay. Is this classic? Nice. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And now you're here, right?
Absolutely.
So you bought a home in 2014. The value's doubled. Yes or no?
We didn't buy a home
What did you buy?
We rented here initially. So I rented a house sight unseen and that was difficult, especially with 4 pets in St. George.
Oh yeah.
Nobody wants to rent with pets.
Sure.
It's
it
tough.
was listed as absolutely no pets, but
especially back then it was tough.
Yeah. When you go, hey, I'll give you a $2,500 refundable pet deposit. And they're like, okay.
Wow.
So
this
money
is what,
talks.
Yeah.
I love this. So how long did you rent?
So we rented there for probably about a year, and then we rented a house in Washington Fields for a little while, and then we bought our house in St. George at the very end of 2017 or 2018, going into 2019.
So it's still nearly doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Washington Fields.
Actually, no, it was the end of 2017, beginning of 2017. We moved in the beginning of January in 2018.
Guys, this is who you're hearing from is Tom Christilaw with Dixie Cable Tech, and it's interesting. He's actually one of our partners, and Tom is, at the end of the day, it's funny. Your tagline: technology of tomorrow for the home of today. Your home of today, right? TV sales and mounting, smart home technology, surveillance cameras, networking. All the cool stuff, the surround sound, the cool stuff that we're seeing in the
playing with fun stuff, man. If you like what you do, right?
Yeah. What is the latest trend? This is so cool. And I love you sharing your story. Moved here from Seattle, moved into town. It's Pioneer Day. What is this holiday? I thought you missed the 4th of July.
The funny thing about that is the first time my wife and I came to St. George was pretty much exactly a year previous in the summer of 2013. And we were actually here for Pioneer Day then. And we were actually swimming in the pool at our hotel out on St. George Boulevard. And these fireworks started going off. And our rationalization was, they just must have had a bunch of extra fireworks from the 4th of July. And they're like doing a fireworks show to use them up.
Oh, this is good, man. Yeah.
So even then, it still didn't click that something was going on,
It didn't hit, So this is kind of fun. And by the way, guys, we hope you'll stay on. We'll take about a 60-second break at 9 a.m. at the end of the radio program. And Jeremy Larkin with the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive, the Larkin Group, KW Realty. We help people manage their wealth in real estate. This is what we do. We've done this for 2 decades in St. George, helped over 2,000 families buy or sell a home. We absolutely would love to help you as well. And sometimes we're not clear on our show. We're not too busy. And we're absolutely working with new clients, right? And we want to hear from you. You can visit us at gostgeorge.com or Google the Larkin Group. So we're going to stay on and we're going to talk about should you rent or sell your home. And this is going to be bonus material after 9 a.m. After 9 a.m., we're going to stay on. How would you find us, Jesse? Where would they watch that at?
You can go to Facebook and
Find the Larkin group?
Yep, find the Larkin group on Facebook.
Yep, Larkin Group or Facebook.com. Actually, as a matter of fact, I remember Facebook.com/St. George Experts. I always forget. /St. George Experts or the Larkin Group. You can find us there. So, Tom, this is kind of interesting. I want to ask you a question. What we were talking about earlier, the biggest seller mistakes, the 4 biggest mistakes sellers are making, right? And they are, by the way. And we're going to move back to we're going to interface this with what you do for a living. Dixie Cable Tech, overpricing their home. Tale as old as time. It's the what is it? Beauty and the Beast. Tale as old as time. Overpricing your home. Anyway, overpricing their home. You're welcome, guys. Skipping the small stuff. That's how we got 30 grand over asking on the home downtown.
Yep, downtown, yep.
Is we didn't skip any of the small stuff. Right down to when we were done with everything, I called my cleaning crew back and said, "Will you come scrub the grout?" I thought the grout was too dirty. Not looking at things objectively. Jesse wearing their seller hat instead of putting on their
buyer hat,
hat, and being unwilling to negotiate. Right. So, but spicing this in, none of this talks about whether the funny thing is this doesn't talk about whether people should have really cool audio video equipment in their home, but it's becoming a thing.
I missed one other point.
Yeah.
Having a camera in your home. If the potential buyer sees it, you've just lost the showing.
Yeah.
They almost shut down.
Because they feel like they can't actually experience the home,
can't
talk to their agent.
They can't talk. The same thing happens if a seller's home, right? They will not stay and experience the home well enough to actually decide, do I like this house or not? And a camera can do the same thing.
Please, for heaven's sake, Tom, next time if it ever comes up and you're talking to one of your amazing clients, go, listen, you got to turn this camera off when you're showing your home. Okay. What is the most popular thing that people are installing in the home right now in terms of modern audio AV equipment?
So probably one of the biggest trends that we've been moving into, and it's something that we've been focused on a lot, is making the technology disappear in your home.
Ooh,
so basically, I want so back in the day, everybody wanted the tech, but they wanted it to be highly visible because, it's impressive and I want to impress my friends. And
Yes.
It's like the keeping up with the Joneses. Now, I've
got a 10-disc changer.
Exactly. So people want the tech. They want all the benefits and the things that the tech provides. They just don't want to see it anymore. So we're doing things like invisible speakers, like speakers that they're invisible. You can't see them. They're just part of the ceiling, part of the wall. So,
oh wow.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're doing things that can hide your TVs, hide all your audio equipment. We have a product called a moving art screen, and it's basically instead of a TV that just displays art, it's actually a custom picture frame that goes around your TV, has a canvas print of whatever art you want. Turn your TV, the canvas rolls away into the frame. You have a TV, turn it off, canvas comes back.
I love this so much. I actually saw one in we follow a lot of architectural designers and things on Instagram, and Jessica in my office and I were looking at one.
So if you have any interior designers out there that want to incorporate some disappeared technology into their home, just have them give me a call.
This is wicked.
That's cool.
This is wicked, man. How do you hide the speakers?
So the invisible speakers are really cool. You actually put those in when the drywall's going in, or in a retrofit, we can cut a hole, frame it in, and put it in. But the surface of the speaker literally just looks like drywall with drywall paper. And then it has tapered edges so that they could tape and mud it to blend in. And then once it's done, it's just skim coated with the drywall, painted, and it's just part of the wall or ceiling.
We've come a long way from your boom box, Jesse.
We have some installed in our office if anybody ever wants to come and hear them.
Okay.
I'd say come and see them, but you can't see them.
Yeah, where are you at in the world? Your office?
So we're over in Washington, off of Washington Dam Road and Country Way, up in the new warehouses they're building by the landfill. So it's 173 South Warehouse Drive, Washington 847.
This is Tom with Dixie Cable Tech. So Tom came in. We have a Sonos system that was installed poorly, and then unfortunately the contractor never finished the job. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life in this building. And Tom, we still need to sort this room out.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
We have plans for that.
Yeah. I'll call you and we'll talk after because we got to finish our show. But some people just want something simple like that, right?
Absolutely.
Like people don't have to. What's the most expensive? Seriously, like actual invoiced job you've done in a home?
God, I don't even know off the top of my head.
Give me throw a guess at it.
It's six figures.
Yeah, yeah. So it's fun. People will spend over six figures on this stuff. But what if somebody's like, hey, Tom, I just want you to come set up like a real simple system, like maybe it's my security, my cameras, and like a little Sonos system.
Absolutely. So that's one of the differences between us and a lot of the people in town is a lot of the people in town, they're not going to show up at your house if they're not going to make $6,000.
Yeah.
So I still take the small jobs. I mean, you can call me and I'll just come mount a TV for you.
Yeah.
You know,
so listen, it's priceless, man.
I love that because what people that don't realize that won't take those jobs is how much benefit long term that will give you.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's numerous times where just like a call to, hey, come mount my TV, turned into that customer ended up being a $40,000, $50,000 customer.
Yep.
2 minutes, dudes.
So.
That's incredible. Well, and here's the thing. This is the same thing that happens in our business. I've had clients come to me and go, well, we didn't call you. We didn't think you sold the low end. I have 4 properties coming to the market in the next 30 days that I'm working on. Every one of them is under $400,000. No, one is $550,000. The other 3 are under $400,000. Guys, we work in and here's what business owners don't realize. The client you serve for like $1,000, small job, whatever it is, they might refer you also.
Absolutely.
7 more friends over time, right? Right? I mean, this kind of thing. I love this, that you would actually mount a TV for somebody. By the way, I don't love being handy. I always say I'm not handy. And the thing is, I don't enjoy it, so I don't learn it. I mean, I had a guy mount every TV in this space. I was like, I'm not mounting these TVs. I want to sell real estate, right? Some people like to be hobbyists at home, but a lot of people don't, right?
I mean, I do.
But yeah, there you go. In the final minute, Tom, how do people reach out to you? This is so fun. Tom with Dixie Cable Tech. I love this. I wish we had like longer to talk about this, but this is one of multiple times we have you in the studio.
Absolutely.
With us. How do people reach you?
So you can reach us by phone, 435-817-4469. You can email us at info@dixiecabletech.com, or you can reach us on our website at dixiecabletech.com.
So simple. Dipsy. Did you know my mother's name is Dixie? Is that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah, she's one of the Dixies. Grew up in Enterprise. dixiecabletech.com. Reach out. I will almost guarantee you that there are multiple listeners today who are going, did you hear? This guy does this thing. Can we finally hire someone to fix the mess that you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
The unfinished project, so we can have our TV or one of those cool screens, pieces of art that opens and closes over the top of a TV.
Those
I
are
want
cool.
that. Eventually, we're doing
You've been
one.
to parade houses, right?
Yes, I have.
You've seen the houses, the big multi-million-dollar houses that have the speakers everywhere.
That's it.
And you look at the ceiling, and I call that speaker grill acne.
We're not doing that, guys. Visit Tom at Dixie Cable. Nobody wants acne. DixieCabletech.com. Guys, the Larkin Group, visit us, of course, online. All right, Jesse. So should people buy or sell? Buy. Should they buy? Sure say they should buy. I mean, if it makes sense. Should they sell or rent their home out? This is so fun having Tom at Dixie Cable Tech. By the way, if you just picked this up, we had Tom at Dixie Cable Tech on our live radio show, and we're continuing till about 9:30 today. It's 9:06. We're going to talk about selling versus renting, and a little bit more about the 4 biggest mistakes that sellers are making. Talk to me about it. Should people sell or rent their home out? I want to talk about at least my experience.
Okay. I don't really think there's a blanket answer to that. I believe that it's really depends on their long-term goals. Honestly, because if their long-term goal is to build wealth and you can do that in real estate, I believe they should rent it out. Mm-hmm. But somebody that is just thinking about renting it out because they can't get what they want right now, I don't know that that's the best.
Yeah, because they can't
theory,
get the price
right?
they want when they sell it.
Because a lot of times that's when that question comes up. Well, I'm going to move. If I can't get what I want, then I can just rent it out. The challenge with that is we know the market we're in. We don't really know where we're going to be. And we really don't know the ramifications of that rental over the next year or two.
Well,
So
let's why don't we take a situation like the one I was in?
Okay.
You know, I have had owned two rentals downtown St. George. And one was a long-term rental and one is a short-term rental. And it just so happens that in the old downtown St. George, historic downtown, that if you have a historic home, there are certain criteria that have to be met. There is what is called a conditional use permit that can be obtained to have a legal nightly rental. This property, by the way, is 306 South Main Street. Like, might as well look it up. It's one of the coolest flipping nightly rentals in St. George. Now, it's interesting because it's not a resort rental. It is a historic home. It's 3 blocks from Town Square. It's 3 blocks from Vernon Worthen Park. So from the Ironman finish line, the St. George Marathon finish line, there's a vibe to it. You can walk or ride your bike to local eateries and coffee shops. And then my long-term rental was nearby. And I just sold it. And we've talked a lot about it in our program.
Yeah.
Well, I have an interesting situation with both. My long-term rental that I sold was a phenomenal rental for 1 year. I was clearing $800 per month in net. And the reason why is because I had a 2.85% interest rate on my mortgage.
Right.
Well, what happened for me is I took money out in a home equity line of credit out of that home. And I used it for other real estate purchases and renovation. You know, we built a building and I moved, and there's a lot of things that happened.
You've had a lot of moving parts for a couple of years in real estate.
Yes. And what happened for me in my situation is that the cost of the money I borrowed on the home equity line of credit skyrocketed because home equity, your HELOC has a variable rate mortgage, and it was going up and down. So it went up because rates went up. And suddenly I realized that what I actually wanted to do was cash out and realize the gain that I'd seen over the last 5 years on that home.
Yeah.
See, people purchase long-term rentals thinking, oh, I'm just going to keep this forever. And then when I die, I'll hand it to my children. My children are going to have to figure it out on their own. I wanted to realize the gain now. I wanted to clear that high interest rate home equity line of credit. And I wanted to, there was a couple $100,000 in gain in that house.
Right.
So I think, Jesse, that first thing is I think owning investment real estate for the long term is one of the smartest things anyone can do. Period. End of story. Full stop. And I also think there are a lot of landlords that are holding on to homes in St. George and Ivins and Santa Clara and Washington and the United States. They're holding on to them because they were just told they should. And in many cases, it might actually make sense for them to realize the gain while the market's high.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right? Like, people are keeping their long-term rentals like, I don't know, someone told me I should. Right? But I actually think that there is a segment of our landlords and our non-occupant owners that probably ought to consider selling their property. Not all of them. And there are others that should go purchase 5 more. And if you don't want to purchase in St. George, you could do like Jesse's done. You could go out of state, right, Jesse?
Yeah, you could.
Do you know, I had a friend come to me last night. Do you know what these townhomes are going for in the Washington Fields? I said, I don't know, probably $500,000. I'll find out. Sullivan Homes.
Yeah.
I said, are you thinking of buying something like for one of your kids? I was like, which of their kids is old enough to have a townhome? And they were kind of on the edge of being old enough. He said, no, I just drive by them all the time. And I was thinking maybe I should own one as a rental. And you know what I told him? You guys only want everyone to buy real estate. You want everyone to buy and everyone to sell. I said, dude, listen to me. I don't think you can possibly cash flow one of those. I said, unless you put at least, and the words were at least 25% down, I don't think there's any way you'll cash flow those in St. George, Utah right now.
It won't even cash flow.
I was like, this is a bad idea.
I think you're going to have to be more like 50% down to cash flow if you're getting a loan.
At 6.75%. So we don't think everyone should buy.
Yeah, but on an investment, it's not 6.75.
Correct.
It's 7.5.
Yeah. Amen, dude. Amen.
It is. Unless you're paying cash or have a massive down payment in St. George, it's really difficult to cash flow right now.
Amen. So should everybody. So let's go back to this. Jesse, I'm going to ask you, this is a trick question. I'm going to set you up with this.
Okay.
I want you, don't give me a knee-jerk reaction. Do you think everyone should at least consider owning investment property?
Yeah, they should consider, but
just like,
only consider.
Okay, perfect. Because we don't think everyone should own investment property.
I don't.
Because a lot of people can't.
Well, just like not everybody should own a home.
No, renting a home sometimes makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it really depends on who you are and what is your long-term goal, and what's your risk factor.
Listen, outside of our team, realtors and Larkin Group team members are outlawed. The first person, as a matter of fact, the first 2 people to comment on our Facebook feed, facebook.com/St. George Experts, or on this post today, or facebook.com, just look up the Larkin Group, to just comment, and they're going to comment the word investment. I'm going to give you a copy of the best-selling book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Got it? The first 2, I'm going to give you a copy of The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And Larkin Group team members, you don't get that because we have them around the office. And realtors, you're excluded. The first 2, I'm going to give you a copy. So, but people, Jesse, could they go out of state in cash flow?
Yes.
Yeah. You went to, how far did you go?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show.
Oklahoma. I had one.
Oklahoma.
The first time I went to St. Louis.
It's a great old musical.
First time I went to St. Louis. I actually just sold that property 2 months ago, and moved it to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
where I had better feet on the ground. I felt like, and it was a much more stable environment or market.
Yeah. He went to St. Louis, and then he went to Oklahoma. So this conversation today is, should people rent out their home or sell it? I think in a lot of cases, it does make a lot of sense to rent out your home. And I just do. I think that a lot of people, especially if you have a low interest rate, you could really win. But what do people need to consider, Jesse? What are some of the things they need to consider?
One of the biggest ones is your house a good fit for a rental? Mm-hmm. Don't just rent it because you're thinking about renting it. Back it up a little bit. If I were going to purchase a rental property, would this be one of them? Would this be a good fit for a rental? And if not, then it's probably out of the question.
Well, I have a client.
Or
this is kind of fascinating. I have a client who owns a home. It was formerly a vacation rental in Sand Hollow, in the retreat at Sand Hollow. They changed their HOA. It's a whole thing. They revised their CC&Rs, and they went from everybody could do a vacation rental to you could only get one. There were a certain number allotted, and then you'd have to get on a waiting list and apply. Well, by hook or crook, he took his home out of the rental pool and he lost his privileges. Then he went to sell it, and because it was no longer a vacation rental,
lost a lot of value.
The market wouldn't pay him what he paid for it.
Yep.
So now he's decided he wants to rent it. The problem is that it's a 5,000 square foot home, 6 bedrooms that you think would normally rent. As a matter of fact, we had 2 different property managers say this home would rent for $4,000 or $4,500, $4,000 to $4,500 if it were a traditional family style neighborhood. However, because it's kind of odd and it's a resort area, you'll be lucky to get $3,500.
Two different ones.
So now he has a conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesse says, does your home make sense to be a rental? Not every home makes sense to be a rental.
Yeah. At the time he bought it, it was a vacation rental, and that made a lot of sense. That subdivision makes a lot of sense for a vacation rental. However, this is 1 in a million, right? Like that this happened. Well, maybe not 1 in a million, but it's not normal that kind of thing happens. So that's a tough one,
it's a tough one
because it's not just that question, right? It's
a tough one.
It's like for him, it's like, man, how much can I stomach?
Yep.
Taking a loss. We all think that we're just going to always make money, and that's just not. It's not reality.
Yeah, it's an assumption.
Right, it's just like me saying, if I go up and down, especially me, if I go up and down the stairs for 50 years, that I'm never going to stumble.
Yeah,
Now, and for me, I'm going to stumble a lot.
This guy rushes around. He's a little bit of a bull in a china shop. He likes to trip on the stairs. Okay, this is kind of fun, Jesse. You said, does your home make sense? Let's give another one. Are you ready for the realities of being a landlord?
I think that's even a bigger
Do
one.
people understand? Okay. For example, you might get calls from tenants at all hours of the day with maintenance requests. Or you might have a tenant who decides to, I don't know, park a whole bunch of Jeeps and crap and garbage in the driveway and in front of the house, like happened at my home. And then I had my neighbors that used to be my neighbors,
Yep.
because I moved out of the home, calling, going, what is going on with your home? And I was like, well, the problem is my lease didn't have a highly specific clause that they couldn't park a trailer on a public street out front that has a giant rock crawler on it that obscures the entire property and looks like crap, right? You could have people falling behind on payments. I had a tenant who was saying, can I just pay you in cash? And then it was weird, wonky timing.
You have the stove goes out, the AC goes out.
Yeah.
There's going to be things that happen, and are you prepared for those?
So let's talk about what it costs, guys. You need to be considering if you want to rent your home out versus sell it. Mortgage and property taxes, insurance, maintenance and repairs, finding a tenant, vacancies, and then potentially management and HOA fees if you're an HOA. You talk about, landlord insurance costs 25% more than regular home insurance, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. That last one is very interesting one to me, because I can't tell you how many times.
Which one?
Management and HOA fees. Or I'm thinking of the management fee.
Yep.
So many times I've ran into people that have tried to save money and just do it on their own.
Yep.
And some people can do that, but others, they get taken advantage of. Right? Or they rent it out to somebody in trade for work. Very rarely does that go well. One or the other one usually gets the short end of the stick in that. And then you have to get out of that. So I think property management can be a very key piece to having a successful rental.
Yeah. We work with a company called Place. The Larkin Group is partnered with Place, and Ben Kinney, who's one of the smartest men in real estate nationwide. He's adamant about this. He said, we never buy a property. This is not even on our list. Don't keep a home as a rental, hoping it will appreciate and then make sense, which is what I have with my other property downtown.
Which is what I said, right? It's like, don't keep it just because you're not going to get what you want right this second.
Ben is adamant. This guy owns probably 100 doors. He literally coaches investors all over the country. He is adamant that you do not purchase a rental or keep a rental that isn't cash flowing, hoping it will just appreciate. Guys, if it's not cash flowing, it does not make sense unless you've got a whole bunch of cash sitting around. And Jesse, I had to feed one of these properties. Guys, I've had to feed one of these properties for almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this could bankrupt me. It's like, it's what it feels like, right? Which is why I will likely be selling this other property, because it just hasn't cash flowed quite the way I want. It's going to make a wonderful residence for somebody, right? The last piece I want to share here, guys, look, selling your home versus keeping as a rental. Look, it's a personal choice. And the reality is that there are no blanket statements and answers. I think everyone should consider owning rental real estate. I do. I just think you need to have all of the answers, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right? So we got a question here. What is your opinion on what pencils as a rental around here? Does it have to have positive cash flow? How fun. Isn't this great? We literally just talked about it. Or how much negative cash flow is tolerable? Well, the answer to that is, thanks, Lynn, for asking. Good morning.
It really depends on the person.
There you go. Lynn, we've got a copy of the book for you, my friend. He commented, I'm going to answer this. What's tolerable? Well, first, you said it. How much cash do you want to lose every month? And I'm going to go back to Ben Kinney's response. He does not purchase rental real estate that doesn't cash flow. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Right? Okay. Say if you have $5,000 a month in expenses or negative $500 each month, would it be tolerable to give the increase given in property values? If you can handle $500 loss every month. Right? That's what that comes up to.
And not just a $500 loss.
Love that question.
That's if everything goes right. It's a $500 loss, right? But some investors will absolutely do that, whether it's for a tax benefit, whether it's for appreciation, right? Whether it's just like, well, this is going to be a temporary thing. I'll hold out while we figure out how to fix it.
Yes. I love this. What a great question. It was so funny because it was right over the top of what we were saying, right? If you are a property owner and you're thinking like, I want to rent it out and I need some good management, I want you to reach out to us. We're going to share with you a couple, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to share our 2 favorite property management companies off the air because we might make the other ones angry. Sorry, guys. We're going to share our 2 favorite property management companies off the air with you. If you're thinking, hey, I want to sell, I want to consider, we'd love to do what is called a professional rent versus sell analysis. That's not a sexy name. It's a rent versus sell analysis. What we actually do is we partner. We don't give you the rental estimate. No. One of our property management partners gives us a written projection of what they think it will rent for. And then we give you a detailed written analysis as to what we think it will sell for. It's a range, right, in today's market, and exactly what you can expect to net at the close of sale. And then you can make some decisions because, look, you may say, you know what I'd rather do? I've been dealing with this with this tenant for a while, and they're a headache, and this is just no longer any fun. I think I'll take my $500,000. And Jesse, here's the funny part. You might say, I'm just going to put it in a flipping index fund, that have averaged 12% over the last 30 years. Yeah. Or I'm going to literally, for just a minute, I'm going to, well, Jeremy, won't you pay taxes? It's funny. You will. You'll also earn all the money that you earned from holding on to it. People are so hell-bent on avoiding taxes that they'll hold on to something that they don't want anymore, right? Yeah, you might have some tax implications, right? But you may say, I just want to put it somewhere at 6% and not think about it. Or we could work with you and help you go purchase 4 or 5 properties somewhere else in the United States.
Exchange.
Through a 1031 exchange. You pay no taxes in the interim. Consult with your tax advisor.
In the right circumstance, you can still buy a rental here.
Yeah.
If you're putting enough down or you're paying cash.
Yeah.
It's still a good place to buy, but with interest rates as high as they are, it's really difficult to get them to cash flow if you're getting a loan.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, but we could take you elsewhere, help you purchase more, a greater number of properties, spread that risk out a little bit, right? And go from there. So, these are just the questions that people are asking.
And a lot of times people, they're rolling that around in their own brain instead of going, okay, let's talk to a property manager. Let's talk to a realtor. Let's talk to our CPA. Let's actually talk to everybody on the team and come up with a really good strategy for you.
Yeah.
For me.
Correct.
Right. That's what I did is I went to my CPA. I said, hey, what do you think about this? How much would I have gains? Will I have a loss? Does it make sense financially?
Guys, I'm likely going to sell a property. This is funny. One of my properties, and take a major tax ding because the headache currently outweighs me figuring out the tax liability.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to leave you with this, Jesse. I want to wrap up our show. Next week, we're going to be talking about your property tax notice. I didn't tell Jesse this, that you got in the mail. And I know you got it in the mail because I received one several days ago myself. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your property tax notice and what you do with it. Is it right? Is it fair? How do you contest it? If you don't like it, by the way, few people like it. I'm going to probably challenge you.
Very few are wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to probably tell you next week that you got off lucky. But that's okay. We're going to talk about that. But, Jesse, as a parting shot, one of the conversations that we didn't even have that I had about selling some of my properties was I looked at something that was completely, it was not unquantifiable. And I looked at headache factor.
Yeah. The stress.
And in the conversation of headache factor, someone near and dear to me said, what could you do with that focus in your core business? And our core business is helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. Our secondary core business is recruiting and training real estate agents to help them build careers that are sustainable. And I was like, ooh, you've asked me a great question. I don't know. I mean, the answer was, I don't know. So as you analyze your real estate life, guys, like, what's your peace of mind worth, right? And if you don't own an investment property, again, maybe you should. The funny thing is, Jesse, regular people with regular jobs can own investment properties. They just don't know it.
That's true.
They just don't know it. Jesse Paul, Jeremy Larkin, the Larkin Group, KW Realty. Visit us at gostgeorge.com or Google the Larkin Group.
All right.
KW Realty. Over and out.
Thanks for having us, guys.